At this moment, I would take the privilege of requesting Dr. Dipak Gyawali, former Minister of Water Resources of the Federal Democratic Republic of Nepal, to kindly deliver his speech on Himalaya to Bay of Bengal, regional connectivity and future economic cooperation.
Thank you, Mr. Chief Guest. Friends, Namaste and Jai Hos. I was very surprised to get an invitation from an institution I had never heard of. Even more surprised to see the topic that they had chosen, rethinking just about everything, very audacious. And when I finally got here yesterday, I was quite surprised to see or feel the creative energy among the organizers, especially the young people. Now, this is a sign of hope. Thank you very much. And don't let us down, okay? Why is the Bengal Delta Conference important? To me, this is a turning point. We are at a turning point in history. A turning point that I would say, not just for the Bengal Delta, but for all of South Asia. It started in the Bengal Delta about 2.5 centuries ago, in a place nearby called Palase, I believe, with a gentleman called Robert Clive. And that process has been raveling and unraveling right till today. What we saw is a form of governance brought about, a form of organizing life and environment that continues till today, independence or no independence. What we are seeing right now is that that model has failed. Now, with the rethinking of the three things mentioned in the theme here, I would add that there's a need to rethink democracy as well. And why do I say that? We imported a Westminster model. Rather, the rest of South Asia did. Nepal was an independent country, but we imitated whatever was here. It has worked for England fine with a 1,000-year history and not even a written constitution. It's worked. Good for them. But here it has failed. Failed in Pakistan, failed in Sri Lanka, failed in Bangladesh, your July movement, and in Nepal is failing for the 3rd time in my lifetime. So the question now we have to ask is it democracy that we are talking about or good governance? If democracy had delivered good governance, I would not be asking this today and you would not be asking this question today. So what does good governance imply, which is more fundamental and of which democracy should have delivered but has not? And as previous speakers have said, we have the forms of democracy, parties, elections, and so on, but in the essence of empowering citizens, we have failed in South Asia. What does good governance imply? 4 things. It must deliver. It must deliver on the aspirations of the people. It must be accountable. And we have seen no accountability most of the time, with people at the highest level engaging in corruption that boggles the mind. It must be responsive to crises even as soon as they emerge. And finally, it must provide a modicum of stability that allows the average Ram and the average Ali to go about doing their work, everyday work. Now, if all these had been delivered by democracy, we would not be asking this question, but they haven't. So we need to rethink in a more fundamental way what is the democracy that we are trying to achieve. What is the good governance that we are trying to achieve? And it's not just a question for Bangladesh, it's a question for the entire South Asian region. Now, what does this mean? Without taking away my own thunder, I'll be speaking in other panels. When you look at, for instance, the whole question of water management. Mahfouz just mentioned climate change. It took COP27 and a lot of fight by people like us to finally get the COPs to admit that the climate problem is a water problem. It was created by the energy sector, burning too much fossil fuel, but the impact to society is exclusively through the water sector. Too much water, too little water, at the wrong place, wrong time, and so on and so forth. The atmosphere polluted by global greenhouse gases is no longer a gently simmering kettle. It's a violently ebullient, boiling kettle. I talk of 7 colors of water. We focus too much on blue water, the surface water. And I believe you have your Ganga Treaty coming up for negotiations next year. You know, with what has happened to the Indus, I shudder to think how your negotiators are going to deal with this. We have the same problem with the Mahakali Treaty that was signed the same year. It's dead in the water these 30 years. Interestingly, the same people who signed the Mahakali Treaty as prime ministers and leaders of opposition are today in Nepal still prime minister and leader of the opposition. But what the treaty said should be done in 2 months has not been done in 30 years. Now, is this good governance? Why I mention the 7 colors of water is there's something more fundamental now with climate change that we should be talking about in water governance. White water, or we call them sky rivers, yeah, they're changing. 2022 flood in Pakistan, for instance. Yeah. An arm of the monsoon that should have petered out by Himachal Pradesh or Kashmir swung violently to the south, and dumped in Sindh and Baluchistan, which are basically deserts, it shouldn't even rain there, 7 years of rain in about, 3 days? Now, this is what's happening. And droughts, similar situation. So we have in our governance failed to address existential problems that we face both as societies, countries, and as members of this planet. Okay. So what I would like to conclude is, you guys have started a journey in the Bengal Delta, a journey that actually the whole of South Asia started 2.5 centuries back. We might need to go back there and see what went wrong. We might need to go back even further, 15, 20 centuries back, because this is a rich region with very rich culture, to see what worked, what did not work, and what from the past might need to be borrowed for the present to see how it works. It's a very, very tall task. And in this, I assure you that I would help most of you young people to build this network on various questions across South Asia to find those answers. These 2 days will not find all the answers, but by asking the right questions, we will be on the right path in finding answers eventually as South Asians. Thank you very much.